answer.
Governor, as I understand it, the auto industry is still a pretty big employer in your state, and the auto industry has actually done really well in the last several years, in spite of what you see as being an obstacle to business, that is, having strong unions. How do you square your statement that unions are somehow bad for business with the fate and the thriving nature of the auto industry in your state over the last several years?
Actually, I've never said unions are bad for business, and I don't believe this is actually anti-union. If you look at it, I believe this is pro-worker, because the way I view it is workers now have freedom to choose.
Hang on a second. Are you serious?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you serious? This is not anti-union.
Yes.
This actually, at its core, undermines the ability for unions to organize. So you can make many arguments you like to say it's not anti-union.
This does not deal with organizing at all. This does not deal with collective bargaining at all. This has nothing to do with the relationship between an employer and a union. This is about the relationship between unions and workers. And this is about giving workers the freedom to choose, and unions have to be in a position to present a good value proposition. If you look at the history of unions in Michigan, we had very strong labor movement here. If you go to the last century, people flocked to join the unions because they saw value in that. Fast forward to today, shouldn't unions still have to present a value proposition? And if they do, people will join. People will want to be part of a union. And if they don't provide value, people shouldn't be forced to pay for something they don't see any value in. So again, this should make unions more effective in terms of having to put a value proposition to workers.
Governor, well, I made a similar argument earlier that workers shouldn't be compelled to have to pay from their salary to a union with whom they disagree. I would not go so far as to say what you just said, which is that this helps unions. I mean, it undermines unions' ability to stay vibrant, right?
It really leaves it up to the union to decide and innovate as to what their value proposition is. I don't view it as pro or anti-union. Unions just need to be responsive to people to step up and deliver value, and workers have that choice, and workers should have that choice. They shouldn't be compelled to join something they don't see value in.
Governor, if I agree with you, and if I heard your statement that you just made correctly, that this is aimed at employees not having to pay into something that they don't put a value on. So according to the right to work legislation now, they can belong to a union, but they don't have to have their dues extracted from their paycheck because they don't put a value on it. Will those workers accept the pay raises that the unions negotiate for them?
Well, again, they're essentially told they have to be in that relationship. It's an exclusive relationship that the unions have with the employer, so they don't have an option with that.
So that's a rather divisive workplace in the future.
Again, in right-to-work states, you don't see that division. Actually, we had good people up here in Michigan that came from right-to-work states, and I talked to a number of them. I actually sat with them during a conference. And when you listen to them, they actually decided to join the union because they saw value, but they really appreciated having the choice. So again, if unions are showing value, people will want to put in dollars to be contributors to something that's giving them value.
Let me ask this.
Dare we?
I don't know, because Carl, well, you know, Carl, I think, hold on,
sweet.
I think you should be penalized, Carl, because you were siding more than Al Gore in his first debate with George W. Bush.